Hi friends, I am Kori. I am a photographer and I am the creator of Stories with Kori. And whether you have been hanging out with us for a long time or today is your first story ever, we are so grateful that you are here. We have a heart to share the stories of people finding grit and strength, working hard to take those next steps forward. We know that life can be hard sometimes, but we believe that it is always better when we take those next steps forward together. And so we invite you to hang out with us today, hear today's story, and we hope that you find encouragement to keep moving forward. Hey friends, I am so excited that you are joining me today for Stories with Kori. We are hanging out with Kristin, and she is the creator of a local group called The Round. And so today she's going to just share her story with you about her own personal experience, and then she is going to just share what the group is about and their heart and their impact in our community. And so, Kristin, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah.
I mean, us, me. It's all good.
We're us, it's fine.
We are. Kristin and I have known each other through the local gym that we go and hang out at. Well, I mean, we took a bit of a break, but it's good to be back for sure. Kristin, tell me a little bit about who you are and your passion for this group.
Sure. I grew up in Manteca, and I now live in Escalon. I am a wife and a sister. I am an auntie, a daughter-in-law, and a friend. Hopefully a good one to a few people. My husband and I have been married 10 years this September, and we spent the first 4 years of our marriage trying to have a family. We did all the things. We saw lots of doctors. We spent a lot of money, and it didn't work out that way. We did not have a family. And because of that, life has been a little bit different, and just trying to help some other people that might be walking down the same path or a similar path, and to see how their journey goes and that they feel supported during it.
Yeah, and so The Round is a group. What is the goal of The Round?
So The Round is a peer-led support group. We meet monthly in Escalon, and the point of the group is to give people an in-person community to share stories and resources for going through infertility. And when I say infertility, I mean the entire gamut. People who are just starting out, who've just got a diagnosis, people who have been in it for a while, people who have come out the other side in one way or another. And it's really just to have a community, a place of a safe place to talk and feel all those things and sit across the table from people who know, who get it.
Absolutely. And I love that you have a heart for local people. You talked about when you were thinking about how to create this group and what format it would take. You talked about how that in-person connection was so important to you.
It was in my personal journey. I told you that I created a fake Facebook page, and I would join all these groups, and there was a big concern about what I was saying and who would see it, and was it really private, was it public? And infertility carries a lot of guilt and shame and that feeling of isolation. And if I had known of, and I looked, a group that I could get together with and sit across that table from those people, it would have made things a lot different. So the reason for wanting it to be that way is because it was something that I desperately needed during my time. So I thought for sure it's something that people needed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You talk about, there are a couple of words that we talk about when you talk about the infertility journey. And one of the things that the words that you had talked about was success. And that word can be a little bit of a challenge as it relates to all of this. And maybe just speak to that a little bit and your heart as it relates to your own story and your group.
Yeah. So as I said, for me, we tried for 4 years. We met with multiple specialists. I had multiple surgeries. We did multiple rounds of IVF, and we never once had a positive pregnancy test. Never came close. And to most people, when we walked away empty-handed, that looks like failure. It certainly felt like failure. It did. But as I've shared my story and released myself of a lot of that shame and a lot of that guilt, I have found a lot of success in terms of quality of life, in terms of living fully and, having things to look forward to. And so while some people may go through an infertility journey and end up with children, whether that be through pregnancy, whether it be through using the services of a gestational carrier, whether it be through adoption or foster care, which are incredible ways to build their family. There's incredible ways. Those would all be considered successes. And something that's important to me is showing people that success can also be achieved when the outcome you thought you needed, that you thought you wanted desperately, and I still do, wish things that had happened differently. However, it can be successful and you can live a full life.
So kind of redefining a little bit of that, what that success might look like. It might not look like how you wanted it or expected it to be, but that there's still power and purpose and incredibleness for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I think is just an important message to encourage people with.
It is. I never, 6 years ago, if you had said to me, oh, you're going to be so happy and things are going to be okay, I would not have believed you. I would have put my head back down in the hole that I was in, and I would have cried, and I would have continued to feel very sorry for myself and never believed you. So having the support of the group and having people sit at the table and realize those things that we talk about them. Those are big things. Those are big moments.
One of the things that we are passionate about is that life is hard. Life is heavy for, a lot of different things, but that it is better when we do those heavy and hard things together. And so that is what you've done through this group. Like, we can do hard things when we are able to do them with people.
Absolutely.
I love that. It's hard. It's a hard thing to talk about and a hard thing to share, but it's just incredible, important work for sure.
Thank you. It is. I think one of my favorite things is when people do find us.
Yeah.
And, the first time they sit and we kind of chat, and we don't sit and cry every time. We don't, there's always tissues, but that's not the goal. Yeah. And it's generally not how it is. We update one another, we share the resources, and we laugh a lot because there are things, there's a lot that goes into making babies.
Lots of hard work.
Yeah. And, when you add in science and things that have to happen, there's a lot of laughs. But when someone comes to us new and the end of the meeting, they always say, I needed this. Thank you. I will be back. That's huge. That's huge to know that you satisfied a need that someone desperately had.
Absolutely. Share with us a little bit about the details of the group. So where do you meet? When do you meet? Who's welcome there?
Yeah. We meet monthly, usually the first Saturday of the month, but if it changes, we just make a schedule change. We meet in Escalon at the Butler's Pantry, and Jamie has been a gracious host to us. She's really incredible.
She is one of our former storytellers.
Yeah.
She shared her story with us. So again, really neat seeing her use her place to impact our community in a positive way.
She has been very encouraging. We meet for about an hour and a half. Pre-COVID, we met every month. We kept up meetings during this strange time via Zoom so that we didn't miss anything. A lot was going on, and it was not a time to take away that support. The meetings, again, are about an hour and a half. Like I said, it varies. We've had the same core group of people for, we just celebrated our year anniversary.
Yay!
That was exciting. So we've had the same core group of people, and then it just seems like there's one or two new people. Zoom allowed for some out of the area people to join in, and it was really neat. And I'm hoping to encourage those people to maybe start their own group for in-person stuff. But the heart of our group is definitely in person for local people because it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Tell me who's welcome. So who is invited to this incredible community?
Anybody.
Okay.
Anybody. We have all walks of infertility that come, whether, like I said, just starting out, I just received a diagnosis, what the heck do I do, to people who've been fighting that fight for years and years. We have secondary infertility, and that means someone who was able to conceive a child or 2 children previously and now is struggling. They wanted to continue to build their family and they're not able. We've had people who've been successful with IVF and coming back for a second round and just need a little support. Anyone is welcome. Men are welcome. It tends to usually be women that come, but anyone is welcome. And we have had some successes within the group in the last year. We've had twins born via IVF. We have a baby on the way, and we're super excited for those people. And they are always welcome to come back. So the thing that people are usually shocked by is having a baby does not cure infertility. So it's important that people know that the support still exists afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe share with me, just if somebody stumbled upon your story, and what is one thing that you would just share with them? What would you share your heart with them?
Well, I would say that, there's definitely a lot of catchphrases in the infertility community, and you are not alone. But it is just the truest thing that you can tell someone. It's so important because, I've been in the public bathroom on the floor thinking no one understands why I'm bawling in Target right now. No one understands. But people do. And people right around you in your area do. They know. I would like to be honest. I like to be, pretty forward. And, sometimes it might not work out. You might not end up with a baby. But if you need someone to sit with you in that dark spot, I'm there, we're there. And if it does end up like my story where there isn't a baby at the end of the road, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay then too. So
that is an incredibly powerful message. Yeah, thanks. You talked about how the statistics are 1 in 8 couples struggle with infertility.
Yeah.
And so the impact of that is, even if that's not part of your story currently, it could be. And it also most definitely is impacting the people around you.
Yeah.
And so how do we as a community support other people? How do we support people who are important to us?
I love that you asked that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because it does. It affects 1 in 8 couples. And, getting the word out about a resource in such a subject that is, a little touchy, and people don't want to, it's very private and people don't want to share about it. And when you see something on social media, you might think, well, it didn't affect me. And I'm so glad that it didn't. But knowing those numbers, 1 in 8 couples, it has touched someone in your life, right? Like someone has struggled. And if you knew that, you would probably tell them. You would say, hey, I heard about this resource. There's some support available. But you might not know, because chances are they're not talking about it. Chances are they feel that embarrassment and that shame, and they haven't mentioned it. And just by sharing, just in a blanket, not pointing it in any one specific direction, you could really be tossing out a lifeline to someone, because it's a tough thing to be going through.
Absolutely. One of the things that we didn't talk about kind of in our pre-conversation, but I know you and I have talked about it in the past, is kind of what to say and what not to say.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about it in our journey through foster care, and there are a lot of things that people say, some well-intentioned, some maybe not well-intentioned, there's things that people say, honestly, the things that I'm sure I have said in the past, right? Like there are just things where you're like, oh, I wish I could take that one back. And so I think, is there an encouragement? I know one of the things is you serve as a resource. You share weekly about things to say or not to say, and how to have that conversation around it?
So, definitely there are things to not say, and it feels, a little mean to tell people, tisk, you shouldn't say that, because like you said, it comes from a very kind place, and they really are trying to help. And, sometimes as humans, we want to help, we just don't know how, so we blurt those things out, those things we wish we could take back. There are a lot of options available for family building. And as you know, there's adoption, there's foster care, there is donor egg, donor sperm, the gestational carriers, you can adopt embryos. The science is incredible, right? There's so many options, and what people should understand before making these suggestions and comments is, I assure you, an infertile person has thought of all of these things. They have paid someone a lot of money to tell them what their specific medical options are, and then they've thought about other ways to build their family. And when we offer suggestions, for example, I can't tell you how many times someone has said to me, well, did you consider adoption? And never once in the history of my time talking to people who have suffered with some sort of infertility, someone has always said that to them. And never once has the infertile person said, oh my gosh, no, never thought of that. We've thought of those things, we've discussed them with our partner, or we've thought them over thoroughly, and people make decisions based on information that's available to them, what they're open to, what they can afford, and a more general comment of support, honest
something
admission,
like, I'm here for you, or I'm
that
here
I don't understand,
or I'm listening, even if I don't understand.
Just keeping it, honest and open is going to go a lot further. It really is, because when we make the other suggestions, it almost it can invalidate a lot of thought and time that went into the choices that they've made thus far in their journey. So it's safer to just offer, I have no idea what you're going through, and I'm so sorry. What can I do? Drop a coffee off for them. Just
and avoiding avoiding it isn't helpful either.
It's not. It's not. I think if you ask the question, and in person is always better. Privately, one-on-one is always better. If you ask the question, they'll give you an honest response. They'll tell you, I don't want to talk about it today, or they'll tell you all the things. So, just asking and keeping it just open, not shutting them down.
Absolutely. Showing up for our people is still important.
Huge. Huge.
You had mentioned that isolation was one of the things that can happen around this. And so continuing to still talk to people, but not be offensive is
100%. 100%.
I love that you share with people and encourage people on how to have that conversation. And so if you are looking for tips on what to say, what not to say, how to have that conversation, Kristin offers a lot of those on their Instagram page, which is a pretty sweet thing to do. So, friend, maybe share with us how, maybe not, we will link to her actual Instagram page, so that way we make sure we get all the underscores in the right place. But do you have a website? How do we find out the calendar, how to get involved?
So Instagram is really the main way that we talk. I keep the schedule, if we're going to have a meeting, leading up to it, you'll know. There is a Facebook page, also just around. But I think most of the activity is there on Instagram. We don't have a website. I don't necessarily think that we have the traffic for it at this time. Hopefully that changes. But all the information is there. And we share a lot of other resources too from the infertility community there. So it's a good spot to find us.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. Lastly, guys, Kristin has brought together some of her favorite things. And so we kind of acknowledge that with giveaways seem to help stories share wider and faster. And so do you want to share the heart of your giveaway?
So, the items that we'll be giving away, as Kori said, are a few of my favorite things. They are things that have encouraged me during my journey, my journey to become stronger, to get a little braver after the infertility part. And they are from women who are huge inspirations to me, places where I've gained strength. And, we're hoping that by by showing you a few of those favorite things and, I don't know, enticing you to kind of pass along the story.
Yeah.
You'll pass it along and people will get the word out, and then, you might end up with some fun things.
Absolutely. Our heart is to encourage you to share this story because this story matters. The idea of supporting the community of people who struggle with infertility, to connect with them, with the community of people who understand what the struggle is. And so we know that giveaways are helpful. We know that that's how you share. And we are thankful that you do that. And so we want to reward you for partnering with us and sharing this incredible story. So that is the heart behind the giveaway.
Yes.
And the heart behind sharing this story. And so we have a heart to share people who are doing incredible things in our community. We know that life is hard. We know that it is better together. And so how do we move forward to take those next steps? And this is one of those ways. It is a little bit at a time, moment by moment sometimes. And yet it is that much better when we do it together. And so I am so thankful that you are hanging out with us. I am thankful that you took the time to listen to this story. And if there's somebody that you wanted to encourage, we invite you to share this story with them, and maybe just tuck it away in your heart as a little bit of encouragement as well. So, Kristin, thank you so much for joining us today. I am thankful for just your heart to share and encourage other people.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, we hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Bye. We were so pumped to share today's story with you. We hope that some small part of their story resonated with you. We hope that you were encouraged to keep moving forward. And today's story was made possible by our incredible supporters, and you can find their information as well as the information of our storytellers on our blog, as well as on this story's post. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we cannot wait to share our next story with you.